Welcome to Golden Tales and Trails. I'm SJ and I'm here along with my golden girls, Sky and Daisy, to help you lose weight, get fit and stay motivated through running and Canicross. Whether you're completely new, getting back into fitness or looking for inspiration, this podcast is your dose of support, simple advice and fun on the trails. So grab your dog, lace up those trainers and let's get moving together. Hello, welcome back. It's 2026. What an exciting year it's going to be. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. If you are watching me over on YouTube, hi. This is one of my New Year's resolutions, is I'm going to start posting some of these podcast videos over onto YouTube. And if you are watching me, you can just see my golden retriever puppy Daisy in the background asleep on the sofa. I don't have a fancy studio, I don't have all of the gear. I'm sat here in my kitchen with the dog sleeping on the sofa. So anyway, welcome to today's episode. I'm calling this New Year, New Paws. We're going to be talking about goal setting for Canicross, and I'm going to underpin this episode very much with the three things that I talk about all the time on this podcast: rest, fuel, and move. So we're going to talk about how to set realistic, sustainable New Year's goals, things that you can actually stick to, because how many times have you actually set a goal and then just given up on it? Or you might have even given up on it now as you're listening to this. But we're going to set great goals for some Canicross, and we're going to focus on the three foundations that I talk about of rest, fuel and move. And this episode really is about consistency over perfection. It's about building fitness with your dog and actually really enjoying the journey and the process at the same time. Now, I don't know about you, but I love January. It feels like it is so full of different possibilities to run further, to go faster, to never miss a session. But what if your goals, and particularly your Canicross goals this year, felt supportive instead of exhausting? What if you set yourself goals that are achievable and that you can look back in a year's time and think, do you know what, I actually did that, I actually hit that goal? So I want to welcome you back to the podcast. If you're a woman and you're juggling work, family, business and all the things, hi, me too, I'm SJ. Or if you're just somebody who just wants to run, then this episode definitely is for you today. We're going to be talking about goal setting for the new year, especially for Canicross, and how to do it in a way that actually works. Now, I've worked as a personal trainer for many years with many, many different women, and I have given them a lot of advice when it comes to goal setting, and I want you to be successful. And that's why, instead of rigid targets, I really want to focus on three things. And I keep coming back to these things all the time about rest, fuel, and movement, because these are the foundations that keep you injury-free, keep you energized, and actually enjoying running with your dog all year long. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about traditional goals, because I bet you have set goals before and you may have achieved some of them, but for the majority of us, when we set goals in the new year, we don't achieve them. And you may have set goals, things like, I'm going to run 5 times a week. I'll do a race in March. I'm going to lose weight through running. And then by the time you get to February, maybe you've fallen behind because life has just got in the way. Maybe you're really tired, maybe you're injured, or even your dog is feeling overwhelmed by the goals that you've set. And the problem with this is it isn't about your motivation. It's actually that the goals ignore a key few things. So they often ignore recovery. And this is really, really crucial. I saw a lot of people through December doing like an Advent run through December. And it meant that every single day they were running, and through December they were increasing their runs and their distances. But that's not going to help because you're not recovering in that period. They often ignore like fueling your body as well. Like many people will take on a fitness journey and want to be on a diet at the same time. And your body's like, oh my God, what are you doing to me? we're doing all of this exercise. We've hardly got anything to eat. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in stress mode. And they focus on outcomes, like achieving something, getting to a point. But actually what we want to be focusing on is creating really, really healthy habits, things that we're going to be consistent with. And this word consistency is really, really key. Things that we are going to be consistent on throughout the rest of the year. Now, I want to talk about this framework that I keep referring to, this idea of rest, fuel, and move. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I talk about this in terms of like a pyramid. So it's like 3 layers. If you think about the base of your pyramid being the rest, that's your key foundation. And I've spoken an awful lot about rest and the importance of rest. And the second level is your fuel, like what you're putting into your body, what you're consuming. And then the cherry on the top, at the top of your pyramid, is the movement. And the problem that we often have is, particularly when it comes to January New Year's resolutions, we focus so much on the top of the pyramid, the movement, the exercise, or the fuel underneath, but we forget about the rest. And if we have not got that basic foundation, we're not going to be successful. So rest really is key. And this is like the missing training session, because rest isn't about quitting. Rest is actually training. And it kind of sounds like counterintuitive when you think about it. Particularly for us women, rest is really, really important. Our body goes through a cycle, goes through your menstrual cycle, or if you're perimenopausal like me, then it's all over the place. And rest is really, really crucial. And this recovery matters so much more. So think about setting realistic rest goals. Now, this sounds crazy, doesn't it? Here I am talking about New Year's resolutions, encouraging you to set a goal around rest. Like, how does that work? That's weird, isn't it? So you might want to set a rest goal that looks something like 1 to 2 full days per week of rest. Now, to me, that's like, how do I do that? How do I do that? Now, I'm not saying that you have to sit still on your butt and do nothing, because if you have a dog, you can't do that. They need a walk, don't they? Or you might want to set the goal of at least 1 no running day for your dog. Because remember, your dog is part of this process. You're also training them as well. And then you also want to be maybe thinking about prioritizing your sleep in some way. So do you need to go to bed half an hour earlier? Do you need to get off your phone earlier before you go to bed? And really ask yourself, like, can I commit to protecting my rest days as seriously as you commit to your training and to your runs? And when it comes to your dog as well, it's really important to remember that dogs do benefit from rest. They will show calmer behavior. They will also have fewer injuries, and they will also have a better focus for when they are running as well. So a good example of a rest goal might be something that sounds a bit like this. This year, I will honor at least 1 full rest day every week for me and my dog. Okay, next up, the second level of this pyramid that I talk about, the rest, the fuel, the movement being the point of the pyramid, is the fuel. Because running on empty really is not going to help anyone. And that is the same for you. It's also the same for your dog as well. So many women, particularly around this time of year where we think we need to go on a diet, we go on a diet and we increase our exercise at the same time. And so many women at this time of year will be massively underfueling their body, especially if you are running for weight loss as well. And remember, Canicross really is demanding because you're working against resistance from your dog. Your body's having to work harder, particularly around your core because your dog is pulling. You're often running on a trail, which is an uneven surface. It's got more hills than like a treadmill or if you were doing road running. And you're managing another being's pace and pull. So if you're watching me, you can just see Sky on the sofa behind me as well. She's my running buddy. And you, as the runner in Canicross, you're managing your dog's own pace and pull as well. So you're not just thinking about your physical body, you're managing them as well. So you've got to have some fuel goals that really make sense. So first of all, and we're talking about the humans here, because I'm a personal trainer, I specialize in humans. I'm not a vet, obviously. So one of the things that we talk about as women is actually fueling your body before you run. Now, I struggle to eat before I run, like full transparency, particularly because I get up really early in the morning. I'm up at about 5:30 and I'm literally up, have a drink, get on the treadmill, or up, have a drink, out the door, do my exercise. I do it first thing in the morning, normally about 6 o'clock, 6:30. So fueling my body is quite a challenge. So actually what I need to do is often rewind and think back to what did I eat for dinner, and making sure that your evening meal is really, really good, really high quality, so that your body has some stores of glycogen in your muscles, which are then able to fuel you if you're doing running. Now, your body normally has around 30-40 minutes worth of glycogen. So if you're doing like a run in the morning with your dog and you haven't had breakfast, that's okay. Like, your body's going to have enough fuel in your muscles, but you are going to need to make sure that you give yourself some fuel straight away after that run, something high protein. And this is where I think there is a place for protein drinks, supplements, and the one that I use, I have linked in the show notes, and underneath the video, you can ask me any questions that you have about that as well. I think also it's important, and I talk about this often, is prioritizing protein. If you're increasing your running and you're asking your body to work harder, you're asking your muscles to work harder as well. Maybe you're doing some strength training as part of your Canicross training as well, which I would highly recommend. You definitely want to be prioritizing protein at every meal. And thirdly, you want to make sure that you are hydrating. And I think this time of year, it can actually be quite challenging to stay hydrated because it's cold. And the last thing you want to be doing is like drinking cold water. So we tend, well, I certainly do, find myself drinking lots of cups of tea. And I'm actually sat here doing my podcast with my water bottle, using that as a measure of how much water I'm drinking each day. So remember, this isn't about perfection. I'm not actually suggesting that you go away and count calories. I haven't mentioned calories or macros or anything really other than increasing your protein. Actually, what I'm saying to you is make sure that you are fueled correctly, make sure that you have fuel in your body before you start running, and drink lots of water. Like, those are quite easy goals when you think about it. So a good example is I will fuel my body before and after every Canicross run. Now, if you want to get into the weeds of this, you want to learn like how much protein you should eat, maybe how many calories you should eat, what type of strength training should you do, then I have linked a one-to-one personal training coaching option with me that you can do either in person or online. And we can get into the nitty-gritty and make it really, really personal for you and set really personalized goals. Because obviously the conversation that I'm having now is very general. I'm talking about sort of general goals and things that you can change. But if you want to get into the nuts, the bolts, and you want some really good quality advice, book those sessions with me and we can really get into your goal setting and get into the weeds of food and macros and calories and all the different types of workouts together. And before I finish talking about fuel, a note about your dog is make sure that you are checking your dog's nutrition too. Energy, recovery, their coat, their joints, they all depend on it. And this is definitely something that you could go and get some advice from your vet from. You could go to a good quality pet store and talk about nutrition. There's lots of different advice out there when it comes to your dog's nutrition and the different type of food. And I think it is important as well to keep an eye on their weight. As you're going through this process, you're increasing their running. It's worth actually, every couple of weeks or so, just going to the vets, popping your dogs on the scales and just checking their weight. And of course, you can do that visually. I mean, I have a Labrador, We do struggle with her often to keep weight on her. So I have to monitor her weight, and I know that there are things that I can do for Sky that will help her maintain her weight when she is really, really active. And one of the things I actually do with her is I feed her more frequently so that her body has a really good opportunity to absorb all the nutrients and the food in the nutrition from the food that she's getting. And that really works for her. But again, I'm not a vet, so go and have a chat with your vet. Talk about your dog's health, their weight. Vet nurses are amazing at this. They often have weight clinics at your vet as well, which are often targeted for dogs that are overweight. Your dog might be overweight. My niece is actually training to become a vet nurse at the moment, and this is something that she's been quite involved in is the weight clinics. But you could go along to one of those weight clinics and actually ask for support and advice in the fact that your dog is going to be working harder, and you can use that knowledge to support you as you're going through this process, in the same way as you would come to me as a personal trainer, someone who has qualifications in nutrition, because I can guide you as a human through what you need to eat and how to fuel your body correctly. So that's definitely worth going to your vets, talking to a vet nurse and getting some advice on weight. Okay, next up is the top of that pyramid is the movement. And I always say that this is the top of the pyramid and you have to get the other things sorted before you start on the movement. But so many times people will do it the other way around. They will start with the movement, then they'll think about the fuel, and then they'll think about whether or not they're getting enough sleep. But movement is definitely at the top of the pyramid. You've got to get the other things sorted to then get the best out of the movement that you're doing. Because if you're going for a run and you're tired and your body isn't fueled, you are not going to be successful and you're not going to enjoy that. And neither is your dog as well. So movement doesn't mean smashing every single run. In Canicross, progress really often looks like running slower, shorter distances, and more walk and run sessions, particularly if your dog has not done Canicross before. You cannot just whack a harness on them and think that they're going to go out and pull you around for 5K. That's not fair. They're not going to enjoy it. They're not trained for it. And they're probably not going to want to come back and do it again with you. So you've got to think of your fitness. You might be starting from ground zero, and your dog probably is as well. Even if you are running 10K a day with your dog, which you probably shouldn't be doing, free running, they are not trained to run in a Canicross harness. It is a very, very different process. If you think about the origins of Canicross and how it stems from dogs pulling sleds, the people that do the Bjorking, I never know if I say that right. Dogs have to learn how to pull in a harness, and that's why this walk-run process is really important. Now, I run a beginner's 6-week course, and a lot of that course is actually walking, because we're teaching the dogs commands, but we're also getting them used to that resistance and helping them to build their strength because they're pulling you. And it's also an opportunity for the owners as well to get used to wearing the running belt and also being able to use their core muscles effectively to hold themselves up. So you can't just go out there and think, right, I'm just going to smash out 5K with my dog and think that that's going to be okay. So you might want to think about a movement goal that is 2 to 3 times a week, an intentional run. And an intentional run is a plan, because you've got to have a plan. If you have a goal and you want to be able to do Canicross, you've got to have a goal. Now, most people will start off with the goal of doing maybe a couch to 5K, or it might be to enter your first Canicross races. And Canicross races do often start with a novice class, which is quite short. It's maybe a mile or 2 kilometers long. And you might want to focus on covering that distance, but covering it effectively with your dog pulling all the time. And that's certainly the approach that I've taken with my dog Sky, because yes, we could go out and probably run a 5K, but she doesn't have the strength and the endurance at the moment to pull me 5K, for us to work together as a team doing 5K. So that's why it's important to think about having an intentional run and a plan for your runs. And again, this is where the expertise of working one-to-one with somebody like me comes in, or joining one of my beginners groups as well. And I also offer a one-to-one session online, which is like a taster session as well. So you also might want to think about other goals that are going to stick. So including maybe like strength or mobility once or twice a week. I really enjoy doing standing core exercises, and I find those really helpful for Canicross too. Stretching, that might be important. And walking counts as well. Like especially, and I did a reel about this the other day on my social media, especially off-lead sniffy walks for your dog. You don't want to be putting them in a harness every single day and asking them to pull you. Because dogs are great and they want to please you, but that's no fun for them. I call those sniffy walks a sniff safari, where you just let your dog like have 20, 30 minutes and you just kind of follow them while they find their own way and decide where you're going to go. So a good example of a movement goal could be something like, I will move my body in a way that supports my energy and doesn't drain it. I'm going to follow a 5K training plan with my dog. I'm going to follow a 10K training plan, whatever it is. Or I'm going to work with a personal trainer like Sarah Jane, hi, over here, to ensure that I am consistent and I'm following a really high quality plan to achieve my goals. And on a dog note, I'm just going to reiterate what I just said a minute ago, is that sniffing walks, playing with your dog, skills training are all movement, and you don't have to be just running. Anything that involves, your dog using their physical and also their mental, like stimulating them mentally, is going to really, really help your Canicross as well. Let's finish up this episode by talking about how to set your 2026 Canicross goals. So instead of asking yourself, like, what do I want to achieve, putting that kind of pressure on yourself, ask yourself these 3 questions. How do I want to feel when I'm running with my dog? What does consistency look like in my life, your life? And what can I maintain even on a bad week? I think that is such a good question to ask yourself. What can I maintain even on a bad week? When it comes to goal setting, if you can show up for your goals, even when you're having the worst week ever, you're going to feel a sense of achievement. So a simple goal setting exercise is to choose one goal for each pillar, each layer of my pyramid. So think about a rest goal, think about a fuel goal, and think about a movement goal. Write them down, put them somewhere visible, and these are going to be your non-negotiables. And again, if you would like some help with setting these goals, book a one-to-one session online with me, and we can go through this, and I can help you set these goals, and I can help you create a plan for these goals as well. And I just want to leave you with a gentle reminder for the new year. Progress in Canicross really isn't linear, and I'm certainly experiencing that right now, having twisted my ankle around Christmas. Some weeks you're going to fly, and everything's going to go to plan, it'll be amazing. And some weeks you'll walk, and that's okay. And some weeks your dog will say, no, thank you, this isn't for me. And that's okay too. And that really is a big part of this process. It's teamwork. It's you and your dog working together. And this year really isn't about proving anything to anybody else. It's about building a relationship with your body and your dog that lasts. So I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, please share it with somebody. Share it with someone who is maybe thinking about Canicross, maybe struggling to set some New Year's goals. Share it with a running buddy. Take it. I would actually love for you to take a screenshot and put it on social media and tag me as well. You can follow me on social media. My links are in the show notes or underneath this video. And remember, rest first, fuel second, and the movement is the third with the cherry on top. And that is how you are going to run stronger and how you and your dog are going to be a better team together. Thanks for joining me and of course Sky and Daisy on Golden Tails and Trails. Remember, I am here to help you lose weight, get fit and stay motivated on your running and Canicross journey. You're not doing this alone. If this episode made you smile, gave you a boost or helped you feel less stuck, share it with a friend who might love it too. And if you're ready for the next step, a taster session or the beginner's course, the links are waiting in the show notes. Keep moving, keep believing, and we'll see you on the next trail.